How's it going, everybody? We are talking about politics today, so if you got any questions about politics, let me know in the chat. Hope everybody's having a good Tuesday. We're living in weird times, and so I am here to answer all of your questions about politics. I know that politics can be a little intimidating, especially if all right, well, we seem to be lagging over here pretty significantly. All right, well, that's not working exactly how I wanted it to. Well, yeah, if you guys over on Instagram can hear me, let me know because from where I'm sitting, things appear to have been stalled. All right, if you got any questions about politics, let me know in the chat and I will do my best to give you a great answer. There's no roasting, there's no debating, there's no judgments. I am just here to answer your questions. So, yeah, this appears to be completely. Oh, no, we're back. We're back. We're good over here. Okay. All right, yeah, if you got any questions about politics, let me know in the chat and I will do my best to give you a good answer. I know that politics can be really intimidating if you don't know anything about it, so I like to create this space where people can ask questions about politics and there's no fear of judgments or debating or roasting whatsoever. I remember there was a time when I didn't know anything about politics and I was always really worried that I was going to sound dumb or silly, and I do not like the way that that feels. So let's see here. We got one person says, I'm not American, but I have a question. All right, yeah, go ahead and ask a question. I'm better at American politics than other kinds of politics, so if you got a question, then go ahead and answer and I'll do my best. All right, still waiting on the comments here. Let's see here. What else do I usually like to say in my intros? Yeah, I don't do roasts. I don't do debates. You don't got to worry about judgments. You don't, oh, if I ask this, he's going to think I'm some sort of MAGA lunatic. Or, oh, if I ask this, he's going to think I'm some sort of squishy liberal cuck. You don't got to worry about any of that. There's no judgments. There's no debates. I am just here to answer your good faith questions about politics. I am really curious if this is actually registering over on Instagram because I keep on seeing my frozen face over there in the corner. So yeah, go ahead and ask your questions. I am here. I am available. There's no such thing as a dumb question. You can ask the simple or as complicated as you like. I have been roasted in the past for not knowing anything about politics, and I do not believe in making people feel bad about trying to learn new things. So hit me up in the comments, and I will do my best to answer your question. Let's see here. Do you know if the U.S. will place tariffs on Japan? I don't know. Nobody knows that. Even Trump doesn't know that. He likes to say a lot of things, and then, it is 50-50 on whether or not those things are actually going to occur. Carbine, what's going on? Good to see you. Yeah, I gotta check out those videos that you sent me, and, having some connection issues here. Having some connection issues. Yeah, I wonder what is going on here. Okay, yes, Carmine. Yes, I appreciate you reaching out. I gotta go check out those videos and check out the new propaganda narratives because I'm 90% sure that the Trump signing something for stay-at-home moms is utter bullshit. So I gotta look that up. But yeah, ask me your questions, everybody. There's no judgment. There's no debating. There's no roasting. You don't got to worry about if I'm going to think you're a, liberal cuck or a MAGA fanatic. I am here to answer all of your good faith questions about politics. We got a good number of viewers over here on TikTok, but not a lot of comments, weirdly. Which is, I guess, potentially that means there's like a lot of people here who are really excited about listening, All right, Laura Anderson, are we really going to be stuck with Trump for the full 4 years, or will we actually see him out soon? There's really no reason to suspect, Laura, that he is going to be gone anytime soon. The only mechanisms that we have at the moment for getting rid of Trump would be, number one, if the people in his cabinet vote to 25th Amendment him, meaning that they all say that he is completely unfit for office and he will be removed from office that way. Yeah, I think that is extremely unlikely because everybody in his cabinet is giving him a fresh ton bath every morning. There's also impeachment, which is extremely unlikely because Republicans have complete control of Congress. Now, in 2 years, when we vote in the midterms, we have the ability to vote in House members who are open to impeaching Trump, i.e. Democrats, and senators who are open to, if he is impeached, removing him from office. And that, again, would be Democrats. So if that is something that you care about, Laura, then I would say get to work on electing Democrats, because that is the only way that that is happening. And I'm curious, Laura, if you are seeing me answer your question, because according to my computer, I'm completely frozen. So let me know if I am coming through over there on Instagram. Miller says, good luck, Laura. Appreciate that. J Dubs 33 says, impeachment got you into this mess. Oh, so you agree that it's a mess, number one. And number two, there's absolutely zero evidence to suggest that impeachment is the reason why Trump got re-elected in 2024. So you can miss me with that nonsense. Hold Up says, why is immigration an ongoing issue for the last 30 years and getting worse? Well, for a couple of reasons. Number one, Republicans view it as very politically advantageous to have immigration as something to yell and scream about. Ever since the parties sort of like switched their ideologies during LBJ's administration, after he signed, I believe, the Equal Rights Amendment into law, I believe. Republicans have always been a little bit subtly, and sometimes not so subtly. Let's see here. All right, so I'm glad that the stalling is on Instagram is only happening on my end there. Fantastic. Let's see here. Laura Anderson says, unfortunately, I live in Utah. That's not unfortunate. That means that you have work to do. You know, we've all got work to do in every single state. Let's see here. What was I? Oh, yeah, immigration. Okay, so that's number one. So Republicans are de-incentivized to try to actually solve the problem because they recognize that their base is motivated by immigration, because immigrants are a potentially scary other that they can use to get people to go to the ballot box. And it's really easy to blame all of our problems on immigrants, even though almost none of our problems are caused by immigrants. In fact, I would go so far as to say that zero are. Democrats have a hard time passing pro-immigration legislation because they have to work with Republicans on this, and Republicans tend to be very dogmatic and aggressive and draconian about immigration, and they are incentivized not to do anything about it, because as long as immigration is a problem, they can continue to point the finger at immigrants and say that's the cause of all your problems, and also to say that if you vote for us, then we will protect you from the scary immigrants. Garrett says, bro, you are so wrong. Well, prove it, Garrett. Micmac says, Canadians have inter-provincial tariffs but are bothered by U.S. tariffs. Yeah, tariffs are stupid, so why wouldn't we be bothered by them? Why wouldn't they be bothered by them? Let's see here. Louis B says, you were great in Santa Ana. Thank you. Famous Impressions over on Instagram says, hey, Jared, is it worth it being angry about Mitch McConnell having scruples all of a sudden, or is nothing worth anything? I don't think it's worth it getting mad about this stuff, because anger is something that it deflates us, it exhausts us. You know, that's part of Trump's strategy, is to enrage, and then people sort of like blow themselves out. And, you know, this is what happened to a lot of us during the first Trump administration. And so I think that people are trying to be a little bit more careful about where they put their energy. So, yeah, don't get mad at Mitch McConnell. Don't get mad at Republicans when they do the right thing. You know, like Mitch McConnell was one of 3 Republicans that voted against Pete Hegseth. It wasn't enough, but it was something. And I think that, you know, we need to encourage people to do the right thing instead of slapping them on the wrist and saying, you weren't fast enough, or you should have done this earlier, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And on a side note, it's great to see you, Brian. Love you, buddy. All right, let's see here. Miller 420, and yeah, your live is lagging and freezing. Yeah, I think it's because I'm simulcasting on Instagram, but we'll see if things. Yeah, I think potentially the Instagram thing has fucked me, so I'm gonna end my Instagram portion. But I appreciate all of you guys being here. Thank you. Bye-bye. But yeah, I get a lot of good questions on here. All right, let's see here. Hopefully I'm going to end things over on Instagram, and hopefully that will fix the lagging issue. All righty. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Stopping that. Did that stop it? All right, we'll see. Alrighty. User, whole bunch of numbers. Do you think Vivek was right and American culture breeds laziness and mediocrity? No, I do not. Cody Austin 976, Republicans changing voting districts to gain more votes in the Electoral College. That is 100% something that they do because they cheat. Let's see here. Spontanify says, how many politicians to change a light bulb? You know, it sounds like what you are setting me up for, Spontanify, is to roast all politicians as being feckless or useless or liars or whatever. But I do not truck with that kind of rhetoric because I believe that there are good politicians and bad politicians. Let's see here. Johnny988 says, is China going to surpass the U.S. in AI? It seems as though they already have. Fog of War Productions, gerrymandering, something both parties do and then cry about it when the other side does it. Yes, Fog of War Productions, but number one, statistically, if you look at the data, Republicans get way more of an advantage out of gerrymandering than Democrats do. That's number one. Number two is Democrats have put forward legislation to get rid of gerrymandering, to say that nobody gets to do gerrymandering, and Republicans blocked it. So, you know, you want to be here, Fog of War Productions, with this both sides stuff, like, it's both sides, everybody does it. But the fact of the matter is, like, Democrats are doing it in order to stay competitive, and Republicans are doing it because they get a benefit out of it that is outsized of what the benefit the Democrats get out of it. Because, again, both parties can get together and say, let's get rid of gerrymandering, but Republicans are saying no. Again, Republicans are the only party that is saying no to getting rid of gerrymandering, and that includes Republican justices, Republican judges. Judges that have been appointed by Republicans are also, calling cases in favor of Republican gerrymandering. So you can miss me with that nonsense. Flowey says, any idea how mass deportation will affect the average American? My guess is that it's going to increase costs of everyday goods, and it's going to cause food shortages. Let's see here. Jason Block says, your Snap ain't coming this week. I'm not on Snap. Church of Avianism says, repeal Citizens United. I agree. We should do that. And the only way that's going to happen is by voting for Democrats. A Texan in South Dakota says, Kamala and Trump have both accepted millions to appeal and repeat Israeli lies. Deport the IDF and IOF. All right, a Texan in South Dakota. Here's the thing. Stop saying things like that, okay? Because there's a very big difference between the way that Democrats handle Israel and the way that Republicans handle Israel. Democrats didn't handle Israel well during the Biden administration, but it was better than what is currently going on with the Trump administration. Trump administration, oh god damn it, we're still lagging. That is annoying. The Trump administration canceled sanctions that we had on illegal Israeli settlements in the West Bank, and he resumed sending 2,000-pound bombs to Israel. He also said that we should just clear out Palestine and move all those people to Egypt. That is worse than what was happening during the Biden administration. So, maybe you don't want to lump both parties in together because it creates this false narrative that both parties are the same and all politics is bullshit and nothing ever changes. So hit me up about that, a Texan in South Dakota. Do you disagree with anything that I just said? Fog of War Productions, you want to know a free, easy way for Democrats to win over Republican voters? Yeah, hit me with Fog of War Productions, let me know. Jason Block, do you think gay marriage will get overturned by Republicans? I'm going to say probably, but, since they haven't said anything about it yet, we just got to kind of wait and see. Let's see here. Chase Robinson 550 says, so what you're saying is our entire government has always been evil. Nope, that is not what I'm saying. Why do American politicians ignore American literacy issues when running? I guess because it's not a high polling issue. But if you really want to know which party is going to do something about declining literacy rates in America, you got to look to the Democratic Party because they're the only party that has not been trying to dismantle public education for the past 50 years. Fog of War Productions says, abolish the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. If the Democrats did it before the GOP did, the GOP would never recover. Yeah, but then we wouldn't have a Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. Do you not think that it is a good idea to regulate those things, Fog of War Productions? All right, do you know if... Oh, yeah, I already answered that one about... Do you know if the U.S. will place tariffs on Japan? We are concerned about it. Here's the thing. Every nation, except for the authoritarian nations that Trump is in love with, like North Korea and Russia, are in danger of getting tariffed. And, just because he hasn't done it yet or because he hasn't said it yet does not mean that that is not ever going to happen. So if that's the sort of thing you don't want to happen, then, vote for Democrats, because that's what Republicans are going to do. Let's see here. Lori Calvin says, can't get you on YouTube. Am I not streaming on YouTube? That's awfully strange. I should be. Yeah, let's see here. Looks like I am. Huh. Yeah. I seem to be streaming. Seem to be streaming pretty reg. Yeah, it seems like it's going through. All right. Okay. 90% of gun crimes are alcohol related. Why is it you can't have a MJ card and gun license, but you something? Lori Calvin. Yeah. Yeah, I was trying to do a simulcast to Instagram. I was trying to add Instagram to the simulcasting, and I think that effed me up. But it seems to be running from where I'm sitting. Let's see here. Fog War Productions, or just do it with the GDP. GOP won't, and address the invisible crisis of rural poverty. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a better move than abolishing the ATF. Jason Block says, is it possible for Trump to run for a third time? So it is blatantly unconstitutional for anybody to run for a third term. Now, does that mean that Trump can't? The answer is no, because the Republican Party has shown with their past behavior and with their statements that they are willing to break the law for Daddy Trump. The Republican Party has, the Republican extreme right-wing Supreme Court justices have broken the law for Trump already, and they are willing to do it again. So it is really just about, number one, will Republicans let him get away with that? Will the Republican-led Supreme Court let him get away with that? And will the American public let him get away with that by not voting in a bunch of Democratic candidates in the, next upcoming elections, like in the midterms and special elections and shit like that? Let's see here. Sphinx Egyptian, Daily Show's Jon Stewart said Democrats have to fight back louder. Will that work? I'm not 100% sure. The Democrats have to always walk this tightrope of, being mad but not being too mad, and being realistic but not being, catastrophic, And so it's so easy to lob criticism on the Democratic Party. You're not doing enough. You're doing too much. Why didn't you impeach him? Impeachment is the reason why he got reelected. We don't like Joe Biden. He's too old. But we don't like the fact that you shoved Kamala down our throats. I hear it fucking every direction, they're too far to the left, they're too far to the right, they take too much corporate money, they're not taking enough corporate money because now they're not competitive, they're not gerrymandering enough, they shouldn't be gerrymandering at all, So yeah, I don't fucking know. And to be perfectly frank, I am done blaming the Democratic Party for losing elections when we all have agency. We can all be talking to our friends and our neighbors and knocking on doors and volunteering and getting the word out there about what a shitty administration the Trump administration is, all the problems that the Trump administration is causing, and talking about how great the Democratic platform is and how great the Democrats' record is. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there is a better way to fight, because no matter what Democrats do, somebody always gets mad at them and says that that's the wrong thing. Let's see here. Travel With Me says, what do you think about what Trump said about letting immigrants who have a college degree stay? I did not see him say that, but I also doubt it. They're deporting people who don't deserve. Surrounded up a bunch of citizens and a vet. There are Native Americans. Oh shit, I'm still having some lagging issues here. There's in New Jersey, ICE rounded up a veteran and a bunch of citizens. There are reports that Native Americans are getting rounded up by ICE as well. So yeah, I do not believe it for a second that they're going to make exceptions. I believe instead that they're going to be, just deporting whoever the fuck they want to deport. Let's see here. JM says Obama deported far more people in his administration than Trump. Okay, well, number one, he was president for 8 years. And number two, he actually tried to deport legally as opposed to what Trump is doing, which is just illegal. Fucking whoever we see that we think might be an immigrant. There's a massive difference between Obama's deportations and Trump's deportations. Golden God 93 says, yeah, so you're just making shit up, lol. No, I'm not. Ak says, are we cooked? We're in jeopardy, but the game is not over. There's still work to be done, and we can still make it so that we have a good future ahead. We just all have to do the work, you know? Josh 2.0 says, I proudly didn't vote. Well, I think that was a bad thing to do, Josh. What state do you vote in, Josh 2.0? Do you feel as though your vote could have mattered in a certain race? There were some races that were decided by like a couple of hundred votes, Josh 2.0. Are you happy with what's going on in the government right now? Do you feel like, all right, Josh, are you happy with what's going on? Are you happy with the way that voting went in Pennsylvania? Are you happy with the outcome of the election? Because I'm not. And I think that you should have voted. I think everybody in Pennsylvania should have voted. There are 85 million people in this country who did not vote, and those 85 million people could have completely transformed the election. Let's see here. Akak says, how much longer do you give the United States empire? Again, if people just do the work, then it can last forever, All right, Nico, you're spamming the comments, so you are out of here. All right, let's go ahead and block that. Let's see here. Karen Sherman says, I really enjoy your program. Thank you, Karen Sherman. Icy, although the government doesn't, do we, the people, acknowledge AIPAC as a foreign agent? I think we do. Let's see here. Lori Calvin, got it, subscribe. Sorry I brought you on live. No, that's fine. I'm having technical issues. So the best thing you can do when I'm having technical issues is let me know about it, because then I can try to address it as best I can. Let's see here. Fog War Production says, to be honest, not voting is base. People only vote out of anger and hatred. I don't vibe with that. That's complete and utter bullshit, Fog War Productions. And in fact, I'm starting to doubt whether or not you are here in good faith. People don't always only vote out of anger and hatred. I vote out of hope for a better future. I vote because I believe in the platform of the Democratic Party, and I am trying to protect Americans from the excesses of the Republican Party. So you can miss me with that bullshit. Jason Block says, thoughts on J.D. Vance for 2028? I think he's probably dead in the water. I don't think that the Republicans are going to run anybody in 2028. I think they're just going to try to keep Trump installed as dictator for life. Pen Pell says, Israel isn't supporting America geopolitically. That's correct, yeah. Akak, what do you think is the biggest foreign threat? Probably Russia, I'm going to say. That's my guess. Manbag45 says, bring people up? No. Wasn't me says, hey, can I run something by you about voting against self-interest? Sure, put it in the comments. Tuna Fish Tim says, you really think Kamala was good? I do, and she's definitely better than Trump. KA1SR says, what do you think about Dems talking about the egg prices? I think we should all be talking about egg prices. Trump said he was going to lower food prices on day one, and it's been a week. So what the fuck is what's going on? Fog War Productions. I just hate how heavily divided this country is. It's the most critically important issue, bar none. All right, well, what are you doing to solve that, Fog War Productions? Are you trying to unite people? Are you trying to point out that the rich people and the Republican Party are the enemies and are fucking everybody over? Are you trying to communicate to people that us in the 99%, we need to unite to stop the millionaire CEO class and the Republican Party that's in league with them from continuing to fuck us over? What are you doing to help? C. May says, do you actually think it'll happen in one day? That's what he said. Why, are you saying that he lied? Can't you see CMAYS? Jordani says, just because Trump popular doesn't mean he will be in 4 years. But he has all the levers of power. So, it is possible that they completely, they attempt to install Trump illegally. Fog War Productions. I married someone with opposite political views from my own. So you say, but I've got no fucking idea who you are. And also, congratulations. Wow, you married somebody. Wow, you really did the work, Fog War Productions. I'm so impressed. If only there were more people like you. Emmy, do you think HB 722, equal protections for unborn, could pass? Absolutely could pass. Let's see here. Kiki Chase 216, opinion on AOC 2028. I think AOC is great, and I fully support everything she wants to do in politics. KA1 Senior says, but don't you Dems say that a new president inherit the economy of the previous one? No, there are certain things that the president inherits from the previous president. There are certain momentums and certain trailing effects that take time. But I'm just saying, Trump said he was going to solve it on day one, and it hasn't been solved. So, is it unreasonable for me to expect Trump to do the things that he said he was going to do? that seems to be a double standard because everybody's always talking about, oh, the Democrats aren't doing the things that they said that they were going to do. Tim Fisher 009 says, why should anyone care about your political opinion? It's up to them. Fog War Productions. I took the Justinian route. The fear-mongering and hatred will stop. I don't know what that means, Justinian. Dan Atwood 209. You can't lower egg prices when 100 million egg chickens were slaughtered. Okay, well, he didn't say, I'm going to lower egg prices so long as chickens aren't slaughtered. He said he was going to do it on day one. So why hasn't he? Ian Gunn Wade says she wants to do anything like the 4 years she was vice president. Nothing Democrats are a joke. That comment makes no sense. You really need to clean that up. Maybe fix your spelling. Maybe get a better English tutor if you are a Russian bot. Coben 3.15 says, thoughts on home buying. Who would do better, Trump or Kamala, and why? Why are you asking me about who would be better, Trump or Kamala? The election is over, I mean, I think Kamala would have been better in everything. Tamaya Cruz says, what do you think the Republicans' end goal is? They want to have a dictatorship. They want to eliminate the government insofar as the government is a mechanism to protect people from the powerful and the wealthy. Republican Party does not want the government to stand in the way from the rich and powerful fucking over the poor, working class, middle class, etc. Everybody below. If they could bring back slavery, they would. They want to, everybody who isn't part of their in-group needs to be a wage slave with zero protections under the law. They want to be able to commit all the crimes that they want, and they want to throw people in jail that they don't like, even if they didn't do crimes. That is their end result. Big Bad Guy 549 says, hello, everyone. Hello back. KA1 Senior says, now it's certain things. LOL, selective where needed, I guess. Border control is priority number one. Cool. Well, all that Trump has done is increased illegal immigration so far. Are you happy about that, KA1 Senior? Lucha says, who will the federal aid freeze hurt more, red or blue states? My guess is red states, because red states benefit from federal money more than blue states do, but I could be wrong about that. Dan Atwood said they were slaughtered right before he took office, wink wink. Oh, so you think the bird flu epidemic was caused by Democrats trying to sabotage the Trump administration? Cool. Excellent. I'm going to put that in the doubt column. Big J, I guarantee the House will be a Trump supporter and maybe a couple of months. I don't know what you mean by the House. Let's see here. Jamie, red states take the most federal assistance. He doesn't mind starving his voters. Completely agree with that. Big J says the host will be a Trump supporter soon enough. It will literally never happen. It will never, ever happen. They will throw me in jail and murder me before I ever even pretend to be a Trump supporter. And you can fucking quote me on that. Clip this, stitch this, find me in 2 years, 5 years, 1 month, whatever amount of time. It will literally never happen. I'd rather die. Anna says, what do you think about January 6th? I think that it was a travesty. I think that the Republican Party is completely implicit in what was obviously an attack on our government. The people who were pardoned should be back in jail, especially the ones who were beating up police officers within an inch of their life. And the fact that the Republican Party is still pushing this stupid fucking lie that, number one, the election was stolen, and number two, that January 6th was a peaceful day of love and free and fair protest. Unbelievable fucking bullshit. There were cops who died that day and then who died later. There are cops whose families, what's this guy's name? Michael Fanone, his mom got shit thrown on her by somebody because they didn't like that Michael Fanone testified against Trump during the January 6th hearings. It is disgusting. It is reprehensible. And that alone should have buried the Republican Party for a generation. But propaganda, misinformation, disinformation is a powerful drug. Dylan Steffen says, apparently half the country disagrees with you. Not half, only the 23% that voted for Donald Trump. Carl Straub 5 says, which cops died? You have the same Google available as I do. Bill Russ 01, why did Biden pardon his whole family? I think because the Republican Party had them in their sights. They have done nothing, to deserve that level of scrutiny. The Republican Party loves weaponizing the Justice Department against their political enemies. So I think Biden was worried that Trump was going to come after him. Let's see here. Egan Wade says, if America had a civil war in this date of time, we wouldn't last. We have gone soft. I don't see any value in that comment, my man. Bill Rust, if they've done nothing wrong, why pardon them? Because again, the Republican Party doesn't give a shit if you've done something wrong. They will throw you in jail if they don't like you. They will deport you if they don't like you. That is the way that is part of the Republican Party's ethos. The Dan Atwood, when he makes more money and gets tax breaks, he will love the Republican Party. No, absolutely not. Let's see here. And I'm middle class right now and potentially upper middle class, depending on what the metric is. And yeah, Republicans can, the Republican politicians are absolute garbage. Their platform is garbage. Donald Trump is garbage. Fucking, yeah, miss me with that shit, man. Bad Guy 549 says illegal immigration is a big issue in the UK right now. Is the Republican Party even center right for European standards? I would say that our Republican Party is far right. And illegal immigration should not be an issue. Full stop. It is dumb to make it an issue. There are way bigger problems to address. All right, let's see here. Don Kelly says, cry libel wall. Okay, great comments, man. You're really bringing it. You are really adding to the discourse. NRG says, what do you think is Trump's goal overall? Corruption, grift, power. He wants to do whatever he wants with no repercussions. He wants to die in office. He wants to change the history books to say that he was the greatest person that has ever lived, the greatest American, that he had godlike powers, that he shot laser beams out of his eyes and he shat Skittles. Like he wants a total makeover of truth in this country, and he wants him and his family and his children to be set for life, to be dictators going forward. Let's see here. Sphinx Egyptian says, except for the Silk Road guy, Trump pardoned him, and he responsible for the fentanyl trade online. Yeah, Trump, will pardon anybody. He will pardon an illegal immigrant if they kiss his ass hard enough. He will pardon drug traffickers. He will pardon cop killers. And he has, by the way. The reason why I'm so confident about that is because he's already done it. All right. Jordan Taylor's version says, agreed. I think he loves daydreaming about being huge in history books. Yep, completely agree with that. Fog of War Productions, his qualifications, he's a pretty chill guy. I like listening to him. Oh, you talking about me? Thanks. J King 17 says, Biden didn't pardon anyone. No, he pardoned people, but his pardons were not nearly as bad as the Trump pardons. Let's see here. Medic Court. Will the Democrats ever learn to embrace the Bernie Sanders policy agenda and actually win? I've heard the argument that Democrats lost because they were too far left, and I've heard the argument that they lost because they were too far right. I think it's bullshit to try to divide the Democratic Party based on their wings. I think we need to recognize who the true enemy is. It is the billionaire class, the millionaire class in the Republican Party that is in league with them. Andrew Scott said, Bowden pardoned them too. He pardoned some people, but he didn't pardon anybody who murdered a police officer. He didn't pardon anybody who beat police officers within an inch of their life. He didn't pardon anybody who was, now back in jail for beating their fucking wives. Yeah, you can fucking miss me with all that shit. He didn't sell pardons for $2 million a piece, which is what Giuliani got in trouble for doing. He said that he and Trump were selling pardons for $2 million a piece. Let's see here. Manbag45 says, how do you find a woman? Somebody that covers their drink when you're in the area. J King 17, I hope the next 4 years are better for you than the last 4 were for me. Okay, sure. I don't think it's going to be, but, I appreciate you hoping that. And I'm sorry that you had a terrible past 4 years, but I guarantee you that unless you are rich or a racist, Trump is not going to solve any of your problems. Diane Nett said, do you support Trump? The answer is no. Shooter craps, what can we do? Are we stuck for 4 more years? No, Shooter Craps. There are a lot of things that we can do. But here's the thing, Shooter Craps, and this is the bad news. It's going to take work. It's going to take work. And everybody has got to do the work. But here's the good news. If everybody does do the work, then nobody has to do a lot of work. We all only have to do a little bit of work. The work is voting in the midterms, voting in the primaries, voting in the special elections, voting for Democrats so that we can take back the House, maybe take back the Senate. Maybe we could have a filibuster-proof majority in the Senate and a strong enough majority in the House that we could impeach Donald Trump for all of the crimes that he has done. Voting is the solution to this problem. There are potentially other solutions, but they will be harder, Big J says Ashley Babbitt was murdered. Do you also think that Mike Floyd was murdered? Do you also think that, George Floyd was murdered? Do you also think that Mike Brown was murdered? Do you think that anybody who was shot by a cop was murdered or only Ashley Babbitt? I'm just trying to figure out if you are a racist or if you don't think the cops should shoot anybody or like what your fucking deal is. All right, scrolling down to the bottom. Big Bad Guy 549 over on Twitch says, are you center right or a bread tuber? I don't know what a bread tuber is, but I am a progressive. Yoitzi JJ says, why do people treat me so badly just for voting Trump? I get bullied for it. I don't think that you should get bullied for it, but I do think that you need to recognize that your vote for Trump has hurt a lot of people and is going to hurt a lot more people in the future. Do you regret your vote, Yoitz JJ? Do you stand by it still? And why did you vote for Trump? Bree says, what do you think of the liberals supporting anti-Semitism at universities? Liberals don't support anti-Semitism at universities. There are certain people who view any protest against Israel as anti-Semitism, and I don't agree with that at all. There are also people who believe that, it is... sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought there. But yeah, long story short, liberals do not support any anti-Semitism whatsoever. Let's see here. Nikki Jean, they only back the blue against the brown. Yeah, no arguments there. Nino says, is it going to help America? Is what going to help America? You, sir, need more coffee. I'm in Texas. Eggs are $7.77. Milk $5.49. Is that more than it was before? Is it less? You, sir, need coffee. Let's see here. Ruby Jones says, sounds good, but we've got to make sure our votes are counted. And that is going to be a scary part of it. We have to hold the hand of our elected officials to make sure that they protect our elections. We have to hold the hand of our neighbors to make sure that they vote and that they also vote for Democrats so that we can protect us from, they can protect us from the Republican Party and from the billionaire class. Runneth up, LMAO, I don't regret my vote. I stand by Trump because there are too many bought out politicians. Do you think that Trump isn't bought out? It's fucking hilarious if you don't. Manbag45, what's it like to look like you're from Lost Boys? As far as I know, everybody in that movie was hot as fuck, so I appreciate you saying that. Charles Clay says, Trump train, soy boy. It's funny you should say that because I gave your mom some soy last night. All right, scrolling down to the bottom. Fogor Productions, your thoughts on RFK Jr.? He's a liar, he's a fraud, he's completely full of shit. Living Consciously, we can't hold any one hand. They can steal elections and get away with it. It's possible, but the way that we fight that is not by throwing up our hands and saying, well, I guess elections don't fucking matter anymore. The way that we fight that is by voting in such large numbers that their cheating is either, number one, ineffectual, or number two, so obvious that it causes a mass disruptions and people start, ejecting politicians and demanding free and fair elections again. The answer is not voting. The answer is always voting. All right, over on YouTube, we've got Tyro Pillar says, sorry, I'm missing half of your comment here. What do you do when you converse with someone who doesn't accept the truth and defends the lies? People who argue in bad faith and don't concede when given proof. So it's important not to waste your time with people that aren't arguing in good faith, because there are people who will just fucking lie to your face and say, I didn't see that, or that didn't happen, or blah, blah, blah. If you are arguing with somebody who is operating in good faith, the key is you got to figure out where you agree reality starts, If somebody is completely Republican pilled and won't even acknowledge certain obvious truths, then the first thing that you need to get them to agree to is, isn't it weird that we have completely different views of the world based on where we get our news? Can you agree with me that your view of the world is from the news that you consume, and my view of the world is from the news that I consume? Can we at least agree there? And then even if they come back with, yeah, but that just means that your news is fake, at least you have a foundation to start with. And then you can move on to things like, all right, well, how do we figure out what are the real newses and what are the bad newses? Stuff like that. Grant Jungers, thoughts on government-funded elections? I'm for them. I don't know enough about the policy to know whether or not what the mechanisms would be, and if there are loopholes for people to, still give dark money, and ways in which the parties then could ice out outsider candidates. So I worry about stuff like that, but anything to get the money out of politics, I am for. Fog War Productions. People listen to respond when they need to listen to understand. Yeah, I agree with that. I don't know what that's in response to. Let's see here. Abe, why aren't my groceries cheaper if Daddy Trump promised? Because he's a liar, and I don't know why people don't remember that he's a liar when they voted for him. Jeff's Detecting and Variety says, I remember about 15 years ago for Easter, a local grocery store ran eggs 50 cents a carton. Oh, that's pretty nice. DDV213, how would you rate Biden's presidency on a scale of 1 to 10? Probably like a 7.5. You would get I think that the way that he continued to support Israel, even though they were doing war crimes, the fact that he decided to run for a second term, why didn't you do the thing that you said you were going to do? And if you knew you couldn't do it, then why did you lie to everybody and say that you could? More. Bush, Clinton, and Trump are the same age, 78. Are they? I didn't know that. Morgan06, the Republicans own almost all the media. That is correct. Jeff's Detecting says, do you see income tax going away and no taxes taken out of your paycheck? I'm not 100% sure. I know that that's what the Republican Party wants. They want to get rid of income tax and replace all taxes with just sales tax. And that's obviously only going to hurt the poor and working class and help nobody except for the extremely rich. But yeah, I'm not sure if they have that in the docket for their upcoming, financial bills or, upcoming tax legislations or whatever. But I know that that's what they want. And that should be enough to stop anybody from ever voting for them ever again. Let's see here. Sphinx Egyptian says, can we get DNC to stop making attack ads for MAGA candidates versus Republican moderates? I don't really know what you're getting at there, Sphinx. Are you saying that it's a problem because Democrats are only running attacks on MAGA candidates as opposed to Republican moderates? Like, is that what you're saying? Because I don't really see what the issue is there. If if the MAGA Republicans are the worst ones, then why would we run attack ads against anybody else? You, sir, need more coffee. Why Democrats voting damaging bills towards minorities? Lincoln Riley, one example. So you're saying, like, why are the Democrats voting for things like the Lincoln Riley Act? I have no idea. There's a philosophy in the Democratic Party that you need to show the American public that you can work with Republicans on certain things and that you get political points for that sort of thing. Historically, that has not proven to be the case, but I think that there are some lessons that take a really long time to learn, especially in, Democrats who are in swing districts or swing states, and they feel like they have to show that they're doing something for immigration because everybody's so fucking upset about immigration. It's everybody's number one issue, and everybody's so fucking worried about it. So they're like, okay, well, this is the administration that you voted for. We're going to let them do the thing that they said that they were going to do, and we'll see if America likes it, I guess. I don't think it's a good, move necessarily, and I also can't say for certain that that's the motivating, factor for that. But what you can do is call all of these representatives and ask. That is a thing that you can do. You can ask your representatives if they voted for it, or you can call representatives in other states and just be like, hey, I want to know why that person voted for that thing, and then you can talk to that person. You're not going to be able to affect what that politician does unless you are a voter in their district, but you can still call and ask. Let's see here. Jan, in Texas, there wasn't any immigrants, so they resorted to doing drama and told Dr. Phil to dress for TV. I'm not really sure what you're talking about there. All right, Sphinx Egyptian. It happened in the last midterms, and the guy they ran ads against was actually a good Republican. So, yeah, I know that there was some gamemanship going on where Adam Schiff, when he was trying to secure his primary win against Katie Porter, started running ads against the potential Republican candidates as a way to boost his notoriety so that the top two contenders in that primary would be Adam Schiff and the Republican candidate, and then Katie Porter was not able to compete in the general election. But I'm not really sure where the Democratic Party is creating attack ads against Republicans that we should be reporting. Because, we're trying to win elections here, and the Republican Party is the adversarial party, even if there are good Republicans, who are willing to stand up to Donald Trump. If they won their primary, then they're going up against Democrats, so attack them. That's fucking politics, man. Josh Beal, they only know how to yell about soy boy Democrats, but they have no idea what they actually stand for. I'm sure you're talking about Republicans. Breezy, every candidate, regardless of party, has negative ads run against them. Move on with that. Yeah, I mean, this... I don't know. I don't know what anybody's point is right now. Sphinx Egyptian, okay, that sounds reasonable. Cool, thanks, Sphinx Egyptian. I appreciate you being here. Mama Taters says, are we able to impeach Trump as where we stand today? No, the citizens don't get to impeach the president. Only the House of Representatives can. And the only way that the House of Representatives will is if Democrats take over the House again, because Mike Johnson is never going to allow an impeachment vote to come to the floor of the House. So if you want Trump to be impeached, and, let's be clear, he has already done impeachable things since he's been in office, then you should vote for Democrats up and down the ballot in every election. And you got to make sure that you vote in the midterms. All right, let's see here. Justin, true or false, the administration that you voted for had the highest inflation rise ever? Yeah, that is true, Justin, but it was not caused by the Biden administration. It was caused by the Trump administration. And I can prove that very easily. Trey Thomas, who currently holds the record for most deportations in presidential history? Not sure. Gerard Tate, first 2 years go well and Dems win House and Senate. Would you still support impeachment? Yeah, because he's already done things that merit impeachment. Let's see here. Geo, big... Baby Oil Diddy is a big-time Democrat. Yeah, that's not true, Geo, at all. So you are fucking out of here. To my moderators, you can go ahead and block. I am not precious about this at all. Mama Taters, isn't it based on electoral votes in our state Congress? No, it is not based on our electoral votes in state Congress, Mama Taters. Benjamin Carr, so why is it racist for Republicans to deport, but not Democrats? I mean, it just depends on... the motivating factors. Like, are you deporting people because they are brown, or are you deporting them because they are criminals? Republicans have made it clear that they do not give a shit about whether or not they are criminals or not. The Lincoln-Riley Act says that you can be deported for being suspected of committing a crime. ICE has rounded up citizens. They have rounded up Native Americans. They have rounded up at least one veteran. That is, not just deporting criminals. That is deporting people that look like they might be immigrants, aka brown people. Justin says, prove it. Okay, here we go. You ready? So the reason why we suffered from catastrophic inflation during the Biden administration was for a handful of reasons, all caused by Trump. Number one, all caused by Trump or by the Republican platform. All right, number one, Trump tariffed a bunch of countries as he was leaving office, which made it more difficult for Americans and American companies to get goods at cost. Number two, Trump fucked up the COVID response so much that supply chains got fucked and decreased supply, which increased demand, which increased prices for goods across the board. Number three is monopolization. The Republican ethos has been to let the free market handle monopolization, and that has been a fucking disaster. Everything is basically owned by like 10 companies right now, so they have complete price control, whereas in a free market, what you're supposed to have is competition, so that if one company raises prices, the other company can lower prices, and then more people buy from that company. So the reason why monopolization caused the rampant inflation that we had was because companies were just raising their prices for no fucking reason. They called it greedflation. And they admitted to it. And we know this. This is all borne out in the data that 60% of the price increases that we suffered under during the Biden administration were caused just by corporations increasing prices because they fucking could, because they had no competition, and because they didn't give a shit about fucking over the American citizens so long as it would make them an extra 50 million or 50 billion or whatever. So there you go. Enjoy. And I'll put this little cherry on top of the evidence is that the Biden administration got inflation down from 9% to 2.4%. So the Biden administration was doing the work to solve the inflation that was started by the Trump administration. So you're fucking welcome for that. Alrighty, let's see here. Just Loves Me says, I still can't find cheap eggs for my breakfast. Well, that's weird because Trump said he was going to do that on day one. Nuckin Futz 86 says, well, over 50% was due to corporations' greed. That is exactly what I said. Sphinx Egyptian, yeah, ICE is not going into Russia town in New York City and deporting Russian mafia guys. There you go. There you go. Another example of why it's racist when Republicans do it. Grumpy Cat, is Trump trying to get rid of unions? Yes, their entire Republican Party is They are hostile towards unions because unions are how people exercise power over the rich and powerful, and the Republican Party is in league with the rich and powerful. Justin, typical liberal never can take any accountability. Isn't it interesting that you're just insulting me instead of arguing against any of the points that I made? So yeah, this is an example of a person who's not arguing in good faith, everybody. PA3 Moore says, will there be a revolution? I'm not going to hold my breath. Grumpy Cat says, even hospital unions? Yeah, the only union that is safe is the police union because the Republican Party believes that the police are always going to be on their side no matter how many times they fuck them over, no matter how many cop killers they pardon, no matter how many January 6th insurrectionists who beat cops within an inch of their fucking life get pardoned by Republicans. They believe that the police are always going to be on their side, so they support the police union. That's it. Let's see here. Fog of War Productions. If there was a revolution, it would likely make things worse. Yeah, I actually kind of agree with that. Justin, another one with nothing more than argumentum ad hominems. Yes, completely agree with that. Double Cheeseburger over on Twitch says, is it true that MAGA doesn't stand for Make Angus Great Again? That is true. It does not stand for that, Double Cheeseburger. All right, let's see here. Cody Garbert says, can you talk about the executive orders today, that federal funding ones? Sure. I mean, there were a lot of executive orders in Trump's first week. I'll just go through a quick little list of all the worst offenders, in my opinion. Let's see here. They cut pediatric cancer research from the budget. They reversed a Biden executive order to lower drug costs, so, all medication prices are going to go up. Pardoning the 1,500 January 6 rioters, including ones that beat cops within an inch of their life. Firing workers who aren't loyal to the Department of Justice, which means they are just going to be throwing out career workers and installing people who don't know what they're doing, but then will just do anything that Trump tells them to do. Let's see here. Left the World Health Organization, which is going to make the entire world sicker and make us more susceptible to pandemics. A gag order on the CDC and the National Institute of Health because they don't want people knowing that there's a pandemic. They just want pandemics to happen and people to fucking die in the street. And they think that if people know about the pandemic, then they'll get mad about it. But if people are just dying of a pandemic, they don't know what's going on, then, hey, I guess we'll be okay. Let's see here. Yeah, cutting funding to all the various agencies, it's going to hurt people. It's going to hurt marginalized group. It's going to hurt innovation. It's going to hurt competition, American competition. China is going to fucking lap us for the next 4 years because of all the dumb fucking things the Trump administration is doing right now to fuck us over in trade and technological innovation. So thank you very much, everybody who voted for Trump or didn't vote. Zenitcat says, seems like we are in Swansea, Germany. It does feel like that. There are a lot of similarities. All right, let's see here. Morgan says we have an epidemic starting of TB. Yeah, if you're in Kansas, start wearing a mask because you got the largest TB outbreak in American history is happening in Kansas right now. LOL, as if Dems know anything global trading. I mean, lots do. Sphinx Egyptian said it's already happened with that AI thing. Yeah, that is, there you go, guys. Nuckin Futz said Trump said he would indemnify the police. That makes me worried. You 100% should be worried about that. You 1,000% should be worried about Trump saying that cops will have even more legal immunity to beat and murder American citizens than they already do. You should 100% be worried about that. Jen, we already have our first measles case in Georgia, I believe. Yeah, start masking, guys. Start masking. Grumpy Cat, flu cases are rising. Why people don't vaccinate, they'll just get worse. Yeah, vaccinate and mask, guys, because again, here's the thing about the Republican Party and specifically Trump, is that their governing philosophy is everybody for themselves. Just fucking run for your lives, do whatever you got to do to protect your own. And so, we can all yell and scream about people not masking and not vaccinating and stuff like that. But the first thing that you should do is make sure that you and the people that you care about are masking and are vaccinating, because that's going to protect you guys. Will it have the benefit of also protecting your MAGA neighbors? Sure. Your MAGA neighbors who are specifically not masking and not vaccinating because fuck you libs? Sure. But you know what? That's what we do. We do things that are better for everybody, even the people that are actively pissing in our faces, because it's the right thing to do, And I wouldn't have it any other way. Let's see here. Tyro Pillar says, I'm at my jury summers and forgot my mask. I'll keep my fingers crossed for you, buddy. Morgan 06 says TB was found in both Florida and Alabama and Kansas as well. Freeway Freddy 3 says, I'm sick for 10 years now because of COVID. David, my friend just said Trump is canceling aid for college students. Is that true? I haven't seen that reported, but it is part of their political philosophy to do shit like that. So, it tracks is what I'm saying, Let's see here. AJ says, yes, it's true. Well, if you believe AJ, who is a nameless, faceless person on the internet, we can trust that guy. Trey Thomas, remember what Fauci said about masks and social distancing? And I'm talking before his pre-pardon. I don't know what you're referring to, Trey Thomas, but here's the thing. I don't really give a shit what Dr. Fauci said. I give a shit about all scientists. Like, all of them together are like, social distancing and masking works. If Dr. Fauci at one point didn't say that, or if you're saying that he didn't say that because you're lying about shit, I don't really give a shit because I know what all scientists and all doctors say. Toro95 says, how long until he gets impeached? He will never get impeached unless people vote for Democrats. So, HDMI3 says, what does TB stand for? Tuberculosis. Morgan06, FAFSA is a part of the Department of Education. I'm not really sure what you're getting at there, Morgan. Let's see here. Dirty Bags 93, can you explain pros and cons of a tariff? Absolutely. So the potential pro of a tariff is that it increases local production. Because companies and therefore the consumer, the shopper, the taxpayer, whatever, their prices are going to be elevated for any goods that come into the country from somewhere else. And so you're potentially incentivizing more manufacturing, more food growing here in this country if you're saying that if you're getting it from somewhere else, it's going to cost more money. The problem with that is that the world has become so globalized already that there are things that we need in this country that we literally just don't have. There are certain minerals and elements and things that we have maybe a little bit of, but we don't have a lot of that we need to import. And even if we are manufacturing the car here now because of tariffs, components from other country, and we need chips and we need steel and, lithium or fucking insert whatever fucking thing, we can't grow or make or mine here in this country. That's problem number one. And problem number two is that if we're tariffing other countries, they're going to tariff us back, but they're not going to tariff each other, which means that the entire globe is going to be trading with each other, and they're going to be experiencing the accelerated GDP growth and, innovation, and, they're going to be growing and creating goods together, and we're going to be completely separated. Our economy is going to be it's going to be like driving with the emergency brake on. All these other countries are going to lap us in trade, in innovation, and prices are going to go up for consumers. So there are all the cons for you. It is a net con in general. Fog of War Productions. So how do we protect American workers from globalization? That is an excellent question, Fog of War Productions. So here's the thing. There's like the immediate way that you protect workers, and there's like the long-term way that you protect workers. The long-term way that you protect workers is through government, entitlement programs. Universal basic income, universal health care, universal education, unemployment insurance, things like that. So that if an industry gets moved to a different country because they want to make it cheaper over there, then that worker is protected and they can get free training to move on to something else, or they will get money to live off of, or, in the case of universal basic income, we just will always have enough to survive regardless of whether we have a job or not. That's number one. Number two is there are things that we can do to de-incentivize companies from moving their production to other countries, or even moving their entire company to another country. There is a thing there was a global tax deal that was, I forget if it was passed or if it was an executive order or what, but it happened during the Biden administration, which is basically a negotiation with all the other countries that basically said, no country is going to lower corporations' taxes below this level. so that corporations can't threaten to move if we try to tax them any more or less than another country. Trump got rid of that. So now companies can leave America if they want and can send their manufacturing somewhere else because now they don't have this agreement with other countries that they are going to at least tax corporations this much. There's stuff like that. There's a lot of million little things that you can do. But just protecting people is the number one thing, and that's with programs like universal basic income, universal health care, raising the minimum wage, worker protections, union protections, universal education, all that shit. Sphinx Egyptian. I don't think there was ever a time when it was only made in America and it was a good thing. I'm not going to speak on that. I don't know anything about it. Fog War Productions. Damn, Jared, that's the smartest idea I've heard on the subject. Thank you, Fog War Productions. I appreciate you saying that. I have put you back in my good faith column, even though I remember what shit you said earlier. Don't forget. All right. Tyro Peller over on YouTube says, do you know if help for the homeless is federal or state, and how can we help them? I don't know if it's one or the other or both. And there's always ways that you can help the homeless people wherever that you live. There are always organizations. There are always food kitchens. There are always shelters that need volunteers and assistance. I'm not an expert in that, but there's always work to be done. All you got to do is give it a quick Google, and you will find some place to help. Angel, can you explain the 1.2 trillion expenditure that was made by Trump recently? You'll have to be more specific, Angel. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Flyfish, have you heard the theories about Trump provoking martial law? I have heard that theory, and honestly, it doesn't sound all that off base to me. He's already declaring national emergencies where he does not need to be declaring national emergencies, because when the president declares a national emergency, that gives him more unchecked power, and that is exactly what Donald Trump wants. The theory is that Trump is going to make things so bad that people riot, and then he will be able to institute martial law, and then he will be able to have a military coup of this country, and we will all be living under the Trump dictatorship for the foreseeable future. Angel, well, we just had a $1.2 trillion added to the debt. Is that true? I haven't seen any reporting on that. Angel, I apologize. But I'll give it a Google, and if you come back tomorrow, then I will see if I can get you an answer for that. Zachary Brace says, do we know if anything is going to happen with WIC? I'm not really sure what that abbreviation is. Jamie, he'll get away with it too because the Supreme Court made sure that he could. The extreme right-wing Supreme Court is in league with Trump and the Republican Party, and I thought that people would vote for Democrats because of that, but they did not. So there you go. Smokey Joe 03, when everything you just said doesn't come true, what happens? I don't know what you're talking about, Smokey Joe. I said a lot of things just now. But, if things everywhere get better under Trump, I'll be happy. I'm not one of those people that just says that just because Trump did it doesn't means that it's bad. I believe that the things that Trump has done are bad and are going to hurt people. If they don't, I'll be like, hooray. But he already is hurting people. So, it does not seem as though your prediction is going to come true. Jen, we lost 1.3 trillion in wealth, but I didn't catch the whole story, so I'm not going to speak on it. All right, well, that is definitely worth a Google then once I finish this live. Kyle, if Trump was going to stage a coup, why didn't he do it in his first term? He literally did, Kyle. He literally did. Do you not remember January 6th? Are you here in good faith, Kyle? Do you really not know that January 6th was an attempted coup? What should I do as a college student who relies on financial aid now that Trump is removing that? I guess get a job, I guess. I don't know, man. I'm really sorry to hear that. But that is, college students is just one group of people that's going to get fucked based on this. Here's another thing that I think Republicans like. I think Republicans want everybody to be on OnlyFans. I think they're just like, yeah, fucking show your tits and your dick and your butthole on OnlyFans to pay for your college education so that we could all jerk off to you. That's what we want, That's me being a little hyperbolic for comedic purposes, everybody. Let's see here. All right. Lincoln Gerard says, what is your opinion on the new Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth? It's a fucking nightmare, In addition to being unqualified, in addition to being an alcoholic, he is also a Trump lackey. The reason why protesters were not shot in Trump's first administration is because there were people at the Department of Defense who would not say yes to that order. Pete Hegseth will say yes to that order. So now protesting is a lot more dangerous than it was before. Congratulations, everybody. Let's see here. Junito, you are doing a great job. Would love to follow you. You can, Junito. Follow away. MAGA is going to find out with this freeze. It's their states largely on welfare. Well, the problem is they're not going to find out because the news that they are watching is going to tell them that the reason why they are struggling is because of immigrants, Democrats, trans kids. And so they're always going to blame somebody else except for the Trump administration. And my evidence of that is the fact that he got reelected. Let's see here. Nice Spice. Can you talk about the MAGA loyalty checks that the government is doing? Yeah, I mean, the thing that saved us in the first Trump administration was that there were people working for the government who just did their job and didn't give a shit if Trump was mad at them about anything, you know? You want somebody working for the Department of Justice who is going to investigate the president regardless of if they are somebody that they voted for or not. You want somebody at the EPA who is going to regulate a company regardless of whether or not their best friend works for that company. It's called being objective. And what Trump is doing is he is purging objective workers from the government so that he will have people who will only do what he tells them to do. If there's somebody who didn't commit a crime but Trump doesn't like him, he wants to be able to point to that person and say, throw them in jail, and then his FBI director will say, yes, sir. And if he sees somebody protesting something that he doesn't want protested, he wants to point to the military and say, shoot that person, and the military to say, yes, sir, whatever you say. If there's somebody who he wants to do something illegal, and he'll say, hey, do that illegal thing, and I promise you won't go to jail, and then he pardons that person. You know, like this is the world we don't want to live in, but that we are currently going to be living in. All right, let's see here. Kay Cooper says the loyalty checks was the second worst, scariest part of Project 2025. Completely agree with that. Lincoln Gerard says, are the tariffs that Colombia was setting on coffee actually going to happen, and how will it affect us? I believe that those tariffs had already been canceled. I think that situation has already been resolved. Let's see here. Living Consciously says, yeah, so true. They only believe what's on their news, which is all lies. So sick. Yeah, you know, that's part of why that's the work. You know, the work is we got to be communicating with these people and making sure that they get the actual news as opposed to, you know, just drinking in the Fox Kool-Aid. Conservatives, what about me? Liberals, what about them? No lies detected. Dangles, the complete dedication to misinformation on your part is admirable. Do you mean like me fighting disinformation or me spreading misinformation? Dangles, I'm trying to figure out if you're a nice person or a jerk. T. Jeezy says, what happens after Trump is gone? That depends entirely on what happens over the next 4 years. Lip Ripper, do you believe in democracy or United States republic? Are you asking me, do I believe that the United States is a democracy or a republic? Or are you saying, like, do I think which one is better? Because democracies and republics are not mutually exclusive. You can have both. Lincoln Gerard, I'm still young and want to become educated. What is an unbiased news station? So what you want to find is a variety of sources. You want foreign press, you want mainstream, you want progressive, you want independent. You know, you've got the quote-unquote unbiased news sources like PBS, NPR, the BBC, the Associated Press. The only thing that you should avoid is right-wing media, because right-wing media has been proven time and time again to be completely full of shit, and the people that watch it are the most misinformed of everybody. Alrighty. Okay. All right. AP 1546. So are you unbiased or just another liberal on live crying? I am unbiased. Thank you very much. I am perfectly unbiased. I'm like a fucking computer. I am just looking at ones and zeros and calling them as I see them, man. Brian Bombastic says, I have a BA in political science. Not kidding. Let's talk. Okay, put your questions in the comments. All right, I am going to do my outro, but I am going to continue broadcasting after I do my outro. I always do final questions after the outro, so just because I'm doing my outro does not mean that I am wrapping up. So here's my outro. I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank everybody for all the comments, for all the gifts, for all the follows, for all the shares. I need and appreciate all the support that you can give me, whether it is the free kind, like likes and shares and telling everybody how great this live stream is, and going to my pages and liking and sharing my videos, and going to my website and liking and sharing all of my stuff. Or if you can afford to do the kind of financial support like joining my Patreon or buying stuff from my store, or sending gifts on the various streaming platforms, I appreciate that as well. But obviously, nobody has to do that because we're all living through a cost of living crisis that's only going to get worse because of Donald Trump. Let's see here. Yeah, my normal streaming schedule is Tuesday through Friday, starting at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I often start early because I really like doing these. But if my schedule will ever change, and it does sometimes because I am a touring stand-up comedian, you can find all of those changes on my website, jarrettberenstein.com. That is also where you can find my store and my Patreon, jarrettberenstein.com. And I am usually pretty good about updating my schedule on TikTok and Twitch, so you can figure out where I'm going to be streaming there as well. If you have any questions that I was not able to get to today, my DMs are open, and also you can email me through my website, jarrettberenstein.com. Let's see here. And yeah, just the last thing I usually say in my outro is just please don't be cynical. Please don't be despondent. Please don't give up. If you give up, if you're cynical, then they win. That's what they want you to do. They want you to believe that voting doesn't do anything. They want you to believe that they're going to be cheating so hard that your vote is going to be canceled out. They want you to believe that there's nothing that you can do. But if we all do the work, then we can fix this. We can make our country better. We need to vote for better over worse. And if you vote for better over worse enough, eventually you get to good, and then maybe eventually you get to great. Everybody needs to vote. Get your friends, get your family, get your neighbors, get your work friends. Everybody needs to vote. There are 85 million people who did not vote in the last election. 30 million of them were registered. So they didn't even have to register. They could have fucking voted, and it would have been so easy for them, and they just fucking didn't, And those 30 million voters would have completely changed the outcome of this election. Imagine if it was all 85 million. So yeah, there's work to do. There's work to do no matter where you are. If you're in a red state, if you're in a blue state, if you're in a purple state, there is work to do. And if we all do the work, then things will get better. And if we all do the work, if we all do a little bit of work, then nobody has to do a lot of work. So that's how we get out of this. We do the work. We take care of each other. Nobody lets go of anyone's hand. That's how we survive, and that's how we make things better in this country. All right, let's get to some final questions. Lori Calfin tried to subscribe, but it said can't connect to Apple. I think Trump is blocking it. You trying to subscribe on here? You trying to subscribe on YouTube? What are you trying to do? Patreon? Let's see here. Luke, we all have to work to get Israeli support out of American politics. I mean, I don't care about Israeli support. I care about AIPAC specifically. We got to get AIPAC out of there. Yeah, that's really weird. That oh yeah, maybe because of the TikTok ban, you are having trouble subscribing. But there's other ways. There's other ways to support. BB Fan 1974. Have you noticed an uptick on your Patreon subscriptions? Well, I had 0 and now I have 1. So the answer is yes, BB Fan, I have. Let's see here. Sphinx Egyptian. I know we talking a lot about domestic policy, but foreign policy under Trump is going to be rough as well. Completely agree with that. A lot of the tension and fighting that we are seeing globally right now is directly related to shitty things that happened during Trump's first administration. His State Department not staffing embassies so that we couldn't exert soft power, abandoning our allies, giving aid and comfort to our adversaries, inflaming tensions in the Middle East. Like, all of that is Trump's fault. Let's see here. Valerie, thoughts on Doge? There is inefficiency in the government, but there also already is an organization that is dedicated to solving those inefficiencies. Doge is just going to be a mechanism by which the Trump administration shuts down programs that help poor people and gives that money to rich people and giant corporations. Clint Linker says the whole Colombian tariff thing is proof that you guys are just rapidly searching for fearnography. No, it's not. That was a real disagreement that the left-wing Colombian government had with our right-wing authoritarian government. Let's see here. TGC says, assuming no third terms. I don't think that's something that we can safely assume, considering that the Republican Party and the Republican Supreme Court have already made it clear that they are willing to break the law for Donald Trump. J.M. Federer says, what can I research to have an informed opinion of how Newsom has done as governor? I am a noob. I'm not really sure of a resource that specifically has talked about Gavin Newsom's records. That sort of stuff is a little bit difficult to find because you're either looking at, information that came out of the Newsom campaign, which is obviously going to be biased in his favor, or, right-wing hit pieces. I guess you're just going to want to look for some, legacy media deep dive, like a New York Times or a Associated Press, or even like a foreign press, like the Guardian UK might have something on that. That's a really good question, JM. And if you reach out to me, I'll see if I can find something for you. Don't let me forget. Hit me up. Jacob, is martial law the end goal for this chaos? Yes. What is the benefit of that for this administration? When things are chaotic, then people tend to vote for more right-wing politicians because they want law and order. They just want there to be fewer homeless people and drug addicts and garbage fires and broken windows and shit like that. And they believe that giving more power to the police, who will just throw people in jail and shit like that, is what's going to solve that problem. Additionally, if things get chaotic enough and Trump declares martial law, that means that a lot of laws and regulations and oversight gets thrown in the garbage, and he can do even more of whatever he wants without any sort of repercussions. Suspending elections, throwing political adversaries in jail, everything is on the table with this Republican Party and this Trump administration. Let's see here. Domenhall 90 says he won't declare martial law. It's impossible to be confident of that, Dom, and so I don't know why you would say that sort of thing unless you are just trying to spread misinformation here on TikTok. Let's see here. TikToker, what's the answer to mass deportation to make both sides happy? Don't do mass deportation. That's the way that you make both sides happy. The way that you make both sides happy is you don't do mass deportation and you be honest with people about what the issues are with immigration and with illegal immigration. The Republican Party has not been honest with people about immigration in decades. So there you go. Clint Linker says 100% of your leftist predictions about the Columbia thing didn't happen. I didn't make any predictions about it, Clint Linker, so I don't know what you're talking about. Fog War Productions, how can we as conservatives be better neighbors to liberals? Don't call us cucks. Don't call us soy boys. Don't question our manhood just because we are Democrats. Don't assume that we are idiots because we don't repeat the same right-wing talking points that conservatives repeat. Recognize that your right-wing media is lying to you. Recognize that your politicians are fucking you over. There are a lot of things, Fago War Productions. Just depends on how mean you are allowing me to be to conservatives and the conservative ethos. Buddy, Apple phones can't access App Store subscriptions on PC. Gotcha. So yeah, I guess you can subscribe on your computer, because I guess subscriptions you need to be in league with the App Store or the Google Store. Zach McLean says, are you a Democrat or Republican? I'm a Democrat. Let's see here. Clint Linker says, 100% of your predictions about martial law will also not happen. Listen, I never said that he's 100% going to do martial law. I just said that he 100% wants to declare martial law. And I am extremely confident in that because everything that Trump has ever done in politics has been about removing accountability and collecting power so that he can do whatever the fuck he wants with zero, consequences. And you saying that my predictions are wrong, 100% wrong, is you making a prediction that you cannot know. So you are full of it, Clint. Let's see here. Jacob, consolidation of power, 100%. Right. TikToker, why does the left call Republicans racist, homophobic, etc. immediately? Okay, so here's the thing about that, TikToker. The Republican Party has been doing, for a long time, things that hurt marginalized groups of people. That's women, that's the LGBTQ community, that's people of color. And the motivations for doing that don't seem to line up with reality. They say that it's for this economic reason or this blah, 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 blah. It just seems like the only reason why they're doing that is to hurt those marginalized groups of people. And so a lot of Democrats, a lot of people on the left, have accurately called out those policies as just existing to hurt marginalized groups of people. Now, sometimes, if somebody is supportive of Republican politicians who have done things to hurt marginalized groups of people, then people on the left will say that you, by voting for that, are also racist, sexist, homophobic, etc. Now, is the left a little trigger happy with words like racist and sexist and homophobic, etc.? Sure. I don't mind admitting that. But also, there is a big difference between like online liberals and the Democratic Party and Democrats. You know, if you have a leftist on social media saying crazy shit, that is not indicative of the Democratic Party or liberals in general. That is just that one person, and potentially that is a Russian agent who is purposefully putting crazy shit out there so that people have a negative impression of Democrats. So there you go. There's that. There is a lot of statistical data connecting the Republican Party and Republican politicians to racism, sexism, and homophobia. So it is warranted. But do Democrats have a 100% accuracy rate with everybody that they have tagged as racist, homophobic, sexist, etc.? No, we do not. But there is a very strong case to be made that Republican politicians and Republican policies are based in hurting marginalized groups of people: racism, homophobia, transphobia, sexism, etc. Pat Turbs says, what is your background in politics? So I was not into politics until I was a poor person living in New York City, and I started seeing things in my everyday life that were making me like, why can't we change this? You know, like I waited a year to get this procedure done by my dentist because I was worried about it not being covered by health insurance. And then when I finally got the procedure, the health insurance company denied my claim. And so I started looking into things, and I started reading a little bit, and I started looking a little bit and watching a little bit. And I eventually got to a place where I knew a lot about politics. And whereas before I knew almost nothing. Let's see here. Fog of War Productions. Dude, we were all forced into politics. Completely agree with that. Let's see here. Perturbs. I worked in politics, governor, and now avoid it like the plague. I mean, I think that a little bit of that is totally fine. Like, we all got to do our self-care and not get stressed out and so pissed off that we, give ourselves fucking ulcers. But I also think we need to be informed about what our government is doing so that we can be informed voters, and also so that we can fucking, see threats coming down the pike, because this administration is coming for us. Let's see here. David Bruce said Obama deported millions. No one blinked. David Bruce, that is a right-wing bullshit talking point. And if you would like me to get into why, I will happily do that. Bob131 says, if an election ties, what happens next? I believe that if it ties, that it goes to the House. I could be wrong about that. I forget, but that's one of those, one in a million things that has literally never happened. Or has it happened? I'm not 100% sure. Yeah. David Bruce said, talking point, pulled the numbers. All right, so you don't care about being proven wrong. You only want to spread your misinformation. Cool. Good to see you, David Bruce. Gabby Cuban says, Republicans attack marginalized groups to distract. They do it to distract, and they also do it to divide. Because if Republican voters are always looking at immigrants and brown people and Democrats as their enemy, then they are not recognizing that the billionaire class, the millionaire class, and the CEO class, and the Republican Party that is in league with them are actually their enemy. Let's see here. Jen, what will be the final straw that would make Trump supporters stop and second guess their choice? Again, if they have the fucking IV drip of Republican propaganda going right into their brain, it doesn't matter how bad their life gets. They're always going to think that Trump is perfect and he has never made any mistakes. Trump could actively be shitting on their face, and so long as they're watching Fox News telling them that the reason why shit is coming out of Donald Trump's butt and onto their face is because of Democrats, they will believe that. And it's not necessarily their fault. Some of this is defunding education. Some of this is making life so hard that people can't afford to get a good education or devote any time to actual politics. Some of this is monopolization, Sinclair buying up all the local TV stations and pumping Republican propaganda into those neighborhoods. So it's not necessarily the Republican voters' fault that they got conned, that they got tricked, that they're eating up all this bullshit. So I would encourage people not to just go around saying like Trump supporters are dumb or they're all ugly and stupid and, stuff like that. These are the people that we need to be in league with. And, we need to be Christ-like about it, turn the other cheek and, there but for the grace of God go I. do unto others, etc., etc. Bjork's armpit sweat says the Democrats are also with the ruling class. Both parties are doing this to the distract. No, that is wrong, Bjork's armpit sweat. I cannot believe that somebody with that screen name could be so wrong about something. But yeah, no, the Republican Party is way more in league with the ruling class. There are definitely some Democratic politicians that are corrupt and working with the rich. But the Democratic platform is better for the working class and worse for the ruling class. And the Republican platform is fucking over the working class, the middle class, the poor, whatever, and only supporting the rich and powerful. So you can miss me with that both sides bullshit. Louis Nolan says Democrats are all about power. That is blatantly untrue. Fog War Productions, because there's a lot of insecurity and vulnerability among conservative demographics. Yeah, that's also accurate. Bob131 says, hey, I just looked it up and saw that in 1800 an election has tied before. All right, well, I was wrong about that. Zach McLean, I honestly do not think you can be a Democrat and a Christian. Well, I think you're wrong about that, Zach. TikToker, to all the Democrats here, why should I vote for Democrats? What do you care about, TikToker? What is your number one issue? What are the things that motivate you or would motivate you to vote for somebody? Sphinx Egyptian, I already got a coworker who didn't like Biden, but he and I talked that Trump's not better either. I appreciate that, Sphinx Egyptian. All right, still waiting on TikToker letting me know what your number one issue is. Dakota says can't be a Christian. I mean, I was raised Catholic and I'm a Democrat, so tell me why you think you can't be a Christian and be a Democrat. Let's see here. Louis Nolan says anything goes. Ageist, your belief is wrong. You know what? I'm tired of you, Louis. You're out of here. You're completely full of it. Let's see here. Still waiting on TikToker to let me know what your issue is. What the issue that you care about. Xenocat, a lot of Republicans are very anti-Christian. That is completely accurate. Right. Sphinx Egyptian, he's already worried about his retirement and Social Security. Who is? Let's see here. Jasmine Beatty says, I'm a Christian that left the Republican Party. You sure can. Thank you, Jasmine. I appreciate that. Bitnevo said, Trump's endgame is triggering the political into protest to enact the military, full dictatorship. I don't think that is an outlandish prediction to make. I think that it is possible. Plausible? Potentially. World's under my feet. Maybe you can't be moral and be Christian. Potentially. Let's see here. Gokul424. You weren't wrong. You said you weren't sure if it has happened. Thank you, Gokul. Man, we really got some fucking lawyers on here today. TikToker. What was Kamala's economic plan just to start? Okay, so it is easier, TikToker, to talk about the Democratic platform versus the Republican platform because there are specifics about Kamala's economic plan that I'm not as familiar with as I am just what do all Democrats try to accomplish and what do all Republicans try to accomplish. So the economic plan for Democrats is to create a more fair economy. The economy right now is rigged in favor of the rich and powerful. Monopolies and access to resources has made it so that it is impossible for you to start a corporation that will rival a Walmart or Target or Netflix or an HBO or whatever. Now, the Democratic Party, in the way that they have, sort of like softly attempted to make this clear, is by saying, hey, we're going to tax the rich. We're going to use that money to help everybody else. We are going to use that money to make housing cheaper and medicine cheaper and food cheaper. We are trying to raise the minimum wage so that you can use that money to pay for the things that you need. And we're going to use the government to protect you from the power of giant corporations and extremely rich people. We're going to protect your unions. We're going to make it so that companies can't just dump tons of pollutants into your water and your air, and we're having a government agency that's going to make sure that your food is safe to eat and your medicine is what it says it is, and all of that stuff. The Republican Party, by contrast, believes in trickle-down economics. Trickle-down economics is basically just giving all of the money and resources to rich people, and then as they spend that money, it will eventually trickle down into the hands of the poor. So somebody buys a yacht. Now the yacht guy has a little bit extra money. The yacht guy goes and buys a car. Now the car guy has a little bit of money. The car guy goes and buys groceries. Now the grocery guy has a little bit of money, etc. The only problem is that it doesn't work at all. We have been suffering through trickle-down economics since the 1980s, and it has not trickled down. Income inequality is worse than it has ever been, even worse than in the Gilded Age, which, if you could not figure out from context clues, the Gilded Age was named for how bad income inequality was, and it is worse now. So trickle-down economics has not worked, it has failed, and yet that is still the Republicans' economic plan. Cut taxes for the rich, cut regulations for industry, so there's going to be no government agency making sure that companies aren't poisoning your air and your water, and, let's not have regulators making sure that your food is safe and that your medicines are safe and everything, because all of that is a burden on corporations and rich people when they could be using their money and their genius to make the world better, and all the money will be trickling down into everybody's mouths. And the problem is that all of that is complete and utter bullshit, and it does not work. So there you go. That is, I hope that was illuminating? Illustrative? I think those both work. Jeff Huggins says regulation is abused. Yes, but the Republican Party is anti any regulation, and that is bad. Shay May KD says, what is your take on boycott? I like boycotts as a mechanism by which people are able to express their political beliefs, but unfortunately, because monopolization has gone so out of control since the 1980s, boycotts are a lot less effective, because if you're boycotting one company, but then you're, buying that same thing from a different company, the odds are that both of those companies were owned by the same company. So yes, they are good, but they have limited effectiveness now that monopolization has been able to run rampant for as long as it has. Let's see here. Tyro Pillar. Sorry, I'm just catching up on all your comments right now. Any thoughts on you doing a podcast? I kind of view these lives as my podcast, but, I'm definitely down to do other people's podcasts. Beef, Democrats are pro-big pharma poisoning citizens. That is not accurate at all, Beef. Film, TV edits. What are the pros of a Republican president as opposed to a Democratic president? There are no pros. Jen, the federal minimum wage has been $7.25 since 2009. That is a real shame. Let's see here. Whoa, you look like the young version of that Egyptian guy. Oh, what's his fucking name? I know exactly who you're talking about. And that guy's pretty good looking. All right. Looks like things have... TikToker. All right. Excellent final question. This is going to be my last question. TikToker asked, what are your thoughts on DEI? BB Fan says, when will you be touring through Phoenix? Check my website. I don't know if I'm going to Phoenix anytime soon, but all of my dates for the entire year are on my website right now. So if you go to jarrettberenstein.com, you can find all my tour dates. All right. So, TikToker asked, what are your thoughts on DEI? So DEI stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. It is in the same category of policy as affirmative action, which is basically saying, like, isn't it weird that, all these giant corporations are all being led by rich, white, straight men? Are there ways that we can try to even that out? Like, make it so that our, country looks a little bit more diverse in the powerful positions of life as it does everywhere else, And so, they do things like try to value diversity, equity, and inclusion, like just because, somebody is black or gay or a woman doesn't mean that they should be excluded from being part of this club of extremely powerful and influential people. And the way that you start by doing that is not by saying, all right, well, you have to hire a black CEO. It's by saying, all right, well, why don't we make it so that our workforce looks a little bit more like the country? And if the country is 5% black, then maybe our workforce should be 5% black. And if it's 5% gay, then maybe our workforce should be 5% gay, et cetera, et cetera. And now companies and, colleges, universities, they have recognized the value of DEI initiatives in, incorporating different voices and different types of thinking into their, agencies. And so they have started doing it even without any kind of government incentives, either stick or carrot one way or the other. Now, the argument that the right always has against that is that what you're essentially doing is removing the meritocracy from college admissions and job applications and things like that. The job and the seat at Harvard should always just go to the most qualified person, and affirmative action in DEI is anti that. It removes that. But that's not actually the case. There are a lot of things that go into whether or not somebody gets accepted to a college or whether or not somebody gets a job, besides if they are the best at that job. If somebody's parents are rich, if they went to that college already, if somebody's friends with the boss's daughter or whatever, all of these things can go into the decision on who to hire or who to admit to our college. DEI is basically just saying that in addition to all those things, why don't we also take into account the fact that we don't have any gay people working for this company. We don't have any Asian people working for this company. We don't have any black people working for this company. But all of those initiatives, they help. They help, they help the college to be better, they help the company to be better, and they help elevate marginalized communities, which the Republican Party does not like. And so they create these false narratives around DEI being that, oh, well, you're taking a qualified white man and replacing them with an unqualified black woman. And that's just not the case. There are plenty of unqualified, mediocre white men who have risen to the highest levels because of who they know or because of how much money their family had, etc., etc. And DEI is just a way of trying to even things out so that there are just as many powerful people of color and LGBTQ as there are straight white men. So yeah, long story short, the Republican narrative on this is bullshit, and DEI works great. All right. Just like Pete Hegseth, just like our president, exactly like the president. There we go. TikToker, yeah, the argument I have been hearing around is the most qualified is better than DEI, if that makes sense. Yeah, I hope that I've convinced you, TikToker, that argument is complete and utter bullshit. Because the people that are yelling about DEI being anti-meritocracy, they have nothing to say about somebody getting into Harvard just because their dad is rich, or somebody getting into Harvard just because their mom went there, or somebody getting a job because they suck the boss's dick or something like that. There are plenty of mechanisms by which the meritocracy does not exist in this country. What we are saying with DEI is that let's have the country look like what the country is. And if, the country is 5%, African American, then why are not 5% of CEOs African American? Why are not 5% of, accountants working at this accounting firm African American, et cetera, et cetera? In certain senses, in certain cases, it is a little bit of a blunt instrument as opposed to a scalpel. It's a little bit more of a sledgehammer, but when marginalized communities have been fucked over and shat on as much as they have, I don't mind that. I don't mind us going a little further to help out people that have been marginalized, at the expense of fucking, Trent billionaire, whatever that fucking dude's name. They can fucking do whatever he wants, Alrighty. And TikToker says, thank you for your answer. Thank you for being here. All right. I will see you guys tomorrow at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, probably earlier because, again, I really like doing these. And so I will be here earlier, probably. Have a great Tuesday, everybody. Enjoy your week. Everybody be safe and be good to each other. Goodbye. 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 Goodbye, 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 goodbye.